Siam Niramit or FantaSea? Which show should you see in Phuket? If you're looking for a spectacular night of entertainment in Phuket, you might be torn between the two most famous shows on the island, Siam Niramit and FantaSea. Both shows offer a dazzling display of Thai culture, history and mythology, but they also have some distinct features that sets them apart. In this video, I'll take you through both shows to help you decide which one is the best for you. I will compare both shows across a number of categories, and the show which wins a category gets 1 point, and the show that doesn't gets 0. And at the end, the show with most points wins. It's that simple. I will compare the shows across the following categories: location, pricing, program, pick-up and drop-off, outdoor facilities, food, theater comfort, the show itself, and the overall service of the staff. And at the end, I will give you my personal view as to what I liked and disliked about each show. So stick around, and at the end let me know in the comments below which show you're going to choose and why. We start with the location of each show. Siam Niramit is located on the western side of the island, about 15 kilometers from Patong Beach, which is slightly out of the way of the main tourist areas and famous beaches, and it can take up to 40 minutes to get there by car or bus. On the other hand, FantaSea is located just behind Kamala Beach, which is popular with tourists and a short drive from Patong. Therefore, FantaSea wins this category, since it's closer to the main touristy areas on the island and more convenient to access. The next category is pricing of each show. Both shows offer one price for show only and another price for show plus dinner. The show only price starts at 1,800 baht for both FantaSea and Siam Niramit. The show and dinner price starts at 2,200 baht for both. Additionally, there are different upgrade options offered at both venues, suited for different budgets and needs. I opted for a gold package with dinner at both locations, which gives you a seat at the gold circle during the theater performance. Since both venues offer the same starting price, this category is a draw, and each venue gets a point. Now we'll look at overall program of each show. Both venues have similar programs, with doors open at 5:30 p.m. and the show start time at 8:30 p.m. for Siam Niramit and 9 p.m. for FantaSea. However, the duration of the shows is different. Siam Niramit runs for 80 minutes, while FantaSea runs for 70 minutes. During the time from the gates opening to the show start time, you can also enjoy outside facilities at each venue and a dinner if you booked one. And again, we have a draw, since there is no clear difference or advantages of each, therefore each one gets a point. Next, we compare the pickup and drop-off service of each venue. Both Siam Niramit and FantaSea offer the service, but at different prices and levels of convenience. Siam Niramit charges 350 baht per person, while FantaSea charges 450 baht per person. However, the price is not only the factor to consider. When booking my tickets, I send my pickup GPS location to both companies. Siam Niramit driver was on time with no follow-up questions, while FantaSea driver was about an hour late, and it took a number of messages and calls to explain where the pickup location was. The drop-off service and speed was about the same, so in this category the clear winner is Siam Niramit. Next on our list is the outdoor facilities at each venue. There are a number of similarities but also a few differences between the two. Siam Niramit has a historical village that showcases a traditional Thai way of life. There are also kids' games, an outside bar, and a stage for pre-show performances. FantaSea, on the other hand, is significantly larger and has a carnival village with games, handicrafts, and cultural parades. Open-air bar and quite a few shops with different souvenirs and Thai products. As for the animals, both venues offer elephant attractions. In Siam Niramit, there was one elephant which you can feed. In FantaSea, there were quite a few elephants and you could feed them, and they were also offering elephant rides. Therefore, this is another draw, as both venues have enough activities to keep you busy before the show starts. Now we'll look at the dinner at each venue. FantaSea has a well-organized dining area. As you walk into the restaurant, you get a table assigned to you, and there are buffet stations and drink stations all over the restaurant, so there is no overcrowding at any of the stations. The buffet offers a variety of dishes, including Thai, Chinese, Indian, and international cuisines. On the other hand, the buffet dinner at Siam Niramit is quite disorganized. When you walk in, you have to find your own table, quite often not knowing if someone is already sitting there or not. As for the buffet itself, it was quite chaotic. It seems like they tried to do it in the style of a street market, but unfortunately it causes a lot of jams and a long waits to get the food. Additionally, the food choices were quite limited, and it seemed there were more European food rather than Thai food. Also, there was only one drink station, so it was quite busy. Overall, the dining hall at Siam Niramit is much smaller and quite disorganized in comparison to FantaSea. So the clear winner by a mile here is FantaSea. Now we'll look at the theater itself. Both theaters are quite large with enormous stages for the show. However, FantaSea Theater is significantly larger with a capacity of 3,000 seats, while Siam Niramit Theater has a capacity of 1,740 seats. One thing I have noticed is that seats are more comfortable at FantaSea Theater. The seats at Siam Niramit seem to have loose backs, and every time you sit down, the back side tilts backwards and it feels like it's broken. Additionally, when you are sitting, the seat in front of you tilts backwards right into your knees, so it's quite a weird sitting position. While the seats at FantaSea are more stable and spacious, with enough legroom. Therefore, in this category, I have to give a point to FantaSea as it offers a more comfortable and enjoyable theater experience. Moving on to the show itself. Siam Niramit show consists of 3 acts that depict the history, culture and spirituality of Thailand. The show features stunning scenes of an ancient kingdom, rural villages, heaven and hell, and the legendary Himapan forest. The show also showcases various aspects of Thai culture, such as festival, martial arts, and folk dances. FantaSea show is a fantasy-themed story that features acrobatic, magic, and animal performances. The show tells the tale of a Kamala, a mystical land where humans, animals, and nature live in harmony. The show also incorporates elements of Thai mythology, legends, and folklore, such as 4 elements, 9 realms, and 12 animals of zodiac. FantaSea also features a lot more animal performances, especially elephants, which play a significant role in the story. Both shows are spectacular and impressive in their own ways, and it's hard to say which one is better. So this is a clear draw. Finally, let's look at overall service of each venue. I have to say that the service at both venues was outstanding. People were friendly and helpful, and everything was well organized to minimize any delays or wait time. The staff and the performers were courteous and professional, and they made sure that the guest had a memorable experience. There were no significant differences between the 2 shows in terms of service quality, so this is another draw. Before I get to the final score, there are a few points I would like to mention about FantaSea, which may or may not affect your final decision on which show to visit. FantaSea has a strict policy of no phones in the theater, and all mobile phones and any other recording equipment are taken at the entrance to the theater. This may create a bottleneck when exiting, as everyone will be queuing to collect their phones. The second point I want to make is about FantaSea and its use of animals. As you enter the theater, there were 2 baby tigers, which you can take pictures with. The tigers were constantly fed and held by the staff. I would assume they were slightly sedated in order to keep them there. Additionally, the use of elephants in the show and the tricks they were performing are not natural for the animal. And knowing the stories about animal abuse during training, I think this point may put a lot of people off the show. And now to the final score. And we have a draw. Both shows offer equally impressive experiences, with each show having its strengths and weaknesses. Ultimately, the choice between the 2 shows depends on your personal preferences and values. I personally would not visit FantaSea again, as I would not want to support anything or anyone who might be implicated in animal abuse. Drop a comment below letting me know which show you're going to choose and why. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time.